Okay, so we're going to start. We're going to start off with on my sefer, which you don't have. Os Lamed Beis. Os Lamed Beis. This you can hear it Balpeh. You don't have to see it inside. Let's understand one thing. Everyone here in the room should have a question in their mind at some time in their life. Why was I created? We understand that things just don't happen coincidentally or incidentally. We don't believe in coincidence. Everything must have a purpose.
Everyone asks that question.
Well, hopefully.
And it means that each one of us have a special job to do while we're here. What that is, we have to find out for ourselves.
So you're talking about what each individual thinks about. Why am I created? I'm talking about mankind in general. Why did God create mankind, and what is mankind supposed to do here that he's here now? So the Svarim that we have, the holy Svarim that we have, tell us that it's very interesting that it should be understood very, very clearly that we're put into a situation where we have to struggle. We're put into a situation which makes things difficult for us. And our goal is to get through all that and to reach this special place or this special situation where we can show, I got through it, I went through all the struggles, Baruch Hashem, I made it.
Wait a minute. Are you saying on this life there's an end to these struggles?
Yes.
On this life?
Yes. Yes. What is the goal? What are you supposed to get to after you get through all the struggles? What are you aiming for? So I'll tell you what the answer is. You're aiming for to reconnect to where you came from. That's what you're aiming for. Mankind is supposed to go through, as we say, go through the mill. You're being churned and you're turned over upside down, and you're going through this and going through that. And Hashem wants you to go through it all and try to get back to Him. And don't be in any way distracted from all of those trials and tribulations that you're going through. It's a very, very difficult task. You know why it's so difficult? Because where we came from, the source we're trying to reach, is so far away from the kind of life that we're in. We're in a very, very materialistic, physical world. Shekoach. Shekoach. And Hashem says, I want you to be able to see through it all. You're living in a physical, materialistic world with all kinds of distractions. I want you to be able to see through it and be able to ignore it and get to that goal at the end. Get to that goal. You connect to me. I am completely opposite of all that. Not easy. You're bombarded. You're bombarded. You're in a body which is totally physical. Flesh and blood bones, all heavy physical. And you're supposed to be able to ignore that and get to reach the spiritual. Connect to that. There were people who did it. Who were the people who did it? We have a famous Gemara in Maseches Chagiga. Arba'a shenichnesu lepardes. That's a metaphor. 4 people decided they're going to take it upon themselves to do it consciously, and they're going to concentrate it in one session. Not over time. Right now, we're going to do it consciously. We're going to concentrate on that. They did it through meditation. Now, when you meditate, you go into a very deep state of thought, and you go in so deep that you forget and you're not aware of anything else. You forget that you have a body. You forget about it. It's like when you're dreaming and you're sleeping in a dream. You realize at that time that you have a body. You don't think about the body. You're thinking about the experience that you're now going through in the dream. You forget about that you're lying in a bed. You don't know. All of a sudden you wake up. Wow, I'm happy it's not true. What I just went through, I'm happy it's not true. I'm back in a room. My bed, I'm here, I'm alive. Everything is wonderful. It's only a dream. But while you're in the dream, you're totally in it. Totally in it. And sometimes it's so real, it's amazing. Now, these 4 people who went into it, one of them was Ben Zoma. 3 of them didn't come back. Oh, well, 2 didn't come back. 1 came back. Mind was completely off. Only one who came back was sane was Rabbi Akiva. But one of them, Ben Zoma, he stayed there. He didn't want to come back. Did not want to come back. And they allowed him to stay. But not everybody has that right. I just saw a video, a short video, of a woman who was one of these clinical deaths. And she went up there, and they said to her, it's not for you. But she said, well, I want to stay. After what she saw up there, she didn't want to come back either. They told her, I'm sorry, it's not up to you. You have plenty of things to do yet back down there. You're going back. And then all of a sudden, she found herself back. This is what she says. Believe her. Why she has not telling the story? Stop. So it's really, that was a very concentrated episode. But our goal in life is supposed to be to reach that level where we want to connect to the spiritual world, to our Creator, who is totally spiritual, and not at all be distracted by the physical. And do you know when you're supposed to do that? Every single day when you're davening Shmona Esrei. Now you have a little bit of an idea of what real tefillah is. When your mind is so completely activated that you have lost complete awareness of your surroundings. Now, we discussed a little bit of this in previous shiurim. So people asked us, well, what about Kedusha? I'm going to miss Kedusha. If I daven Shmona Esrei the way you're supposed to, the way you're teaching us, I'm going to miss Kedusha because it takes too long. And they're not going to wait for me, and they're going to miss Moedim and Yehishmei Rabbah and all that. So what? So you miss it. But you davened. That's what you came to shul for, the daven. The Kedusha, the Moedim, all that stuff is like, frills. But the main thing is the davening, to connect.
You could always say the Kedusha in your mind while you're
But how did you hear it?
Exactly.
How did you hear it?
You should be thinking of that.
You're supposed to be, when you're daydreaming, you have, a real good daydream. You don't know what's going on. Someone comes over you and they call you, they jolt you. Oh, you wake up. But until that, your eyes are fixed at something. Your eyes don't blink, nothing. You're just staring at something blindly, and you're so into it, thinking about whatever you're thinking, you're not aware of anything. You don't know anything. There are many people who are able to daven that way. It doesn't come in one day. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But that's what real Trilo is. And I'm not making this up. It's not about Shem Tov. This is in Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Sai. This is not Kabbalah. This is not Hasidus. It's in Shulchan Aruch. They call it in Shulchan Aruch his Pashtus Gashmius, where the Gashmius sort of spreads away and you're detached from it. In order to do that, you cannot just start when you come into shul. It cannot start when you walk into shul. You've got to start way beforehand. When do you start? As soon as you wake up, you're starting. As soon as you wake up, you have that goal in mind. As soon as you wake up in the morning, I know where I'm ending up. I know where I'm going to. I know I have to reach a level where I'm disconnected from all this that I'm surrounding. It's got to be in your mind as soon as you wake up. Okay, you say the first thing, Modani lefanecha, fine, you say Modani. And then you wash your hands. And then I gave you a Trilo last week. You all have that piece of paper that I gave out last week?
Rabbi Goldberg translated it for me.
I want to tell you, some of the people may have misunderstood. Some people think that I said that this little tefillah should be said before Modani. So I'll say it again to be clear. The first thing in the morning is Modani. Number 2 is Netilas Yadayim. You wash your hands. Number 3, the bracha. Asher Kedishana Mitzvosav Tzivon Al Netilas Yadayim. So you've done 3 things. Then you say that tefillah. The 4th thing, the special tefillah. I have the tefillah here. I have only one copy, but Rabbi Goldberg is not here now. The office was closed as I passed by. Although we could make a few more copies to give it out. It's this little tefillah. This tefillah, I checked it again. You know, this tefillah comes all the way back from the time of Rashi. Almost 1,000 years old. People used to say this tefillah in the morning. Next time, I'll bring a few more copies. So those people who weren't here in the previous weeks will have a chance to get it. It's a very little tefillah, a very small tefillah, and it's very worthwhile to say. And this will help you during the day not to get distractions, to keep you away from your goal. If you say this right after the Netilas Yadayim in the morning, it'll help you through the day, that you don't get all the distractions, diversions, and you have the goal in your mind. And if you can accomplish that, let me tell you something, you are on a very, very high level. And you are walking with Hashem throughout the day, and you'll have a wonderful day. If you can do that, wonderful day. But remember, as I said, that starts here. In the morning when you wake up, you're already thinking about what your goal is. I have to go daven Shachris now, and I want to connect to Hashem. If you have that in your mind, you have a good chance of coming close. And with practice, I must tell you the truth about myself. I have never yet gotten to the point where I don't know anything that's going on around me. I daven the longest Shmoneh Esrei. I can't answer Kedusha. All those things I know because I'm in the middle of Shmoneh Esrei. but it bothers me that I still hear it. It bothers me that I still hear it. I'm not working hard enough. But at least I know what I'm supposed to do. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. You know, when you want to do meditation, you have to have the right environment. You have to have a quiet place. You have to have no disturbances. Either somebody helps you to meditate, or you teach yourself how to do it. But you have to have the right environment to do it. You can't do it in the middle of King George, with traffic going back and forth and the horns are tooting and people are screaming. You can't do it. You have to have quiet. You have to have relaxation. You have to be. So the same thing applies to tefillah. You want to connect to Kadosh Baruch Hu, you have to prepare yourself from the moment that you wake up. Remember what your goal is. Okay. Now, I'm going to read to you three or four lines, and then we're going to look at the page that you have in front of us. Tzedek lefonav yihaloch v'yasim l'derech pa'amav. Pasuk in Tehillim. Yesh b'nei adam shehochim l'dvar mitzvah l'tpalel o kiyotze. There are people who go to Dvar Mitzvah, or they go to Davening. Or be'emetz haderech, on the way to shul, omdim l'daber b'nei adam. You meet this one, I haven't seen you in such a long time. How you doing? Where are you? What's going on? Anything new? Afterwards, okay, so it's a quick exchange of words, and then they go to shul. Mikol makom, look what he says. The Shem Tov calls that an avera biyado. Shelo halach bezrizus. You could have gone direct. Why are you allowing things to interfere with your goal? You pass somebody in the street, you nod to him, that's it. Boker tov. You nod, you smile to him. You shouldn't think that you're his enemy, whatever, there's something wrong with you. So you nod, you smile to him. But to stop and talk to him in the morning, before, on the way to shul? On the way home from shul, you talk to him if you want to talk to him. Not on the way to shul. What is the onus for such a thing? This is amazing. This is so beautiful. This is amazing. After 120 years, you're going to come to Shemayim. What's going to be? You're going to get back Mida Keneged Mida. Now look at the page in front of you. Look at the page in front of you. Top line. Ma'avirim oso al hanahar al ma'avar katzar ma'od. When you're up there in Shemayim, they're going to take you over a river. Whatever that means. In the spiritual world, there's going to be some kind of a river. And you're going to go on a very narrow bridge over this river. Like you have these, swinging, not solid bridge over the river, metal bridge, but it's not like a hammock, something, one of these things which are hanging by cords, whatever it is. And you're on this narrow bridge going over this river. There's a nechshavlo yisurim, and up there, nechshavlo yisurim kashimo. You are terrified because you're going to fall off this bridge. It's very, very narrow and it's not steady. And you're walking over this bridge in Shemayim, the spiritual bridge, and you're terrified that you're going to fall over on either side. Ki yesh lo pachad v'ra'ada. And you want to get out of this situation as fast as possible, to run over that rope, that bridge, and get out of the danger. This is what you have to do. When the bridge is very narrow, you try to get over it very quickly to get out of it, not to stay there longer than you need. Now what's going to happen? Listen to this. This is beautiful. On your way over the bridge, he sends a malach to talk to you in the middle of your going to the bridge. Why did he do that? Why did he send a malach to stop and talk to you? Because when you were on the way to talk to him, when you were down here, you also stopped to talk to somebody. And you didn't get there as fast as you could have. You're getting back Mida Keneged Mida. Up there, you want to go over this bridge, a dangerous bridge, they're going to send you a malach to stop you in the middle. And you're not going to go over it as fast as you can. And who is this malach that he sent you? Who oto ha-malach shenivra me'oisai mitzvah. You hear this? This is the malach that you created from the mitzvah that you did, but you did it be'ikuvim. You did the mitzvah very slowly. You did it with all kinds of partitions, distractions in the middle. This is the malach that you created. That malach that you created by doing the mitzvah, you caused the malach a lot of tsar. Why? Isn't he telling you something beautiful? When you woke up in the morning and you had the thoughts that I'm going to go to shul now to do a mitzvah to meet HaKadosh Baruch Hu and speak to him, what did you do when you had that? Nivra neshama lamalach. You created a neshama to a malach with your thoughts. With your thoughts to do the mitzvah, you created the neshama of the malach. Uba asiyas ha-mitzvah, when you actually perform the mitzvah itself, nivra haguf, the guf of the malach was created. So your machshava created the neshama of the malach, your machshava creates the neshama of the malach, and your deeds create the guf of the malach. The deed of the mitzvah creates the guf of the malach, the body of the malach, and your thoughts create the neshama of the malach. Ubishvil sheshaha livro oisei haguf, and because you took your time, when you created that guf, you stopped to talk to somebody, so you left the neshama naked, without the guf, longer than it should have taken. Okay, therefore, bozeh hamalach gam kein be'emtza hama'avar le'akvo. This malach now came back to you to remind you of what you did here in this world. He's holding you up. You're not going to be able to go across that bridge. The Malach does not want you to get over it fast. He wants you to experience the tsar and the fear of falling off the bridge. And therefore he's talking to you on this narrow bridge of ropes. So you can have tsar. This is the tsar that you are deserving because of what you did down here when you went to shul in the morning. V'zehu, and this is what's meant by the pasuk of David HaMelech, tzedek lefanav yahalech. Lefi, pshuto, kol ha-mitzvos, hochem lifnei ha'adam achari pit'acha petiraso. All the mitzvahs that you did in your life, they precede you after your nifter. When you go up there, you are escorted by all the mitzvahs that you did, and they come before you. Ach, sheyira b'shas halichaso, sheholech l'dvar mitzvah. Therefore, you have to be very careful when you go into a dvar mitzvah, or the Beis HaKnesset is palel, sheyelech bezrizos v'lo ba'atzlus, kedei sheyasim l'derech pamav v'lo yakveu b'ma'avar hanahar. So now we have a directive for all of our life. When we are going to do a mitzvah, go ahead and do it. Don't let anything stop you or prevent you or hold you up. Because that mitzvah that you created, which is now taking its time, is going to come back to you up there, and it's going to be an incomplete mitzvah. It's going to be a mitzvah with all kinds of things that have held you up. You won't be able to get the reward for the mitzvah, as soon as you want. There's something else that's connected to this also. And that is the following. When you want to go to do a mitzvah, you have the thoughts of doing the mitzvah. And you can also say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this mitzvah. I'm going to shul. I'm going to do it. Go to daven. Is that a good idea or not a good idea? The answer is, it's not a good idea. Why? First of all, if you make such a statement, I'm going to do this mitzvah, do you know you're actually going to have success to do it? How do you know you're not going to be held up? And if you're held up and you don't do it, it's like being over on a nether. To say that you're going to do a mitzvah has the power of a nether. Anything good, which is a mitzvah, that you want to do, don't say anything. If you say something, there's all kinds of mikatregim who are listening to you, who are going to try to stop you from doing it. Think about doing it, yes. Doing it, yes. But to make an announcement that you're going to do it, unless you say b'li neder, or unless you say im yirtzeh Hashem. But you yourself, you think that you can do what you want? You don't have control over the world. You don't have control over the world. You're on the way to shul. All of a sudden, there's a chayfetz chashud. The police all of a sudden block off the street. No one can come past it. It's going to take 20 minutes till they find out what's in the chayfetz chashud. You thought I want to go to shul. I'm sorry. No one passes by. You don't have control over the world. Don't be so sure that you're going to be able to carry out what you want to carry out. Therefore, don't make any statements. If you do make a statement, b'li neder, or im yirtzeh Hashem. There's a Gemara in Maseches Tainis, but some Rabbanim were sitting together, and they were finishing the Suda, and one asked the other one, Rabbi, give me a bracha. Give me a bracha. He didn't want to give him the bracha. He started to tell him a mashal. He wanted to tell him a mashal. Why didn't he give the bracha right away? After he said the mashal, give a bracha. You know why? Because he asked for a bracha, and it could be that there are people in Shemayim who are listening, that this person is going to give a bracha, and maybe they would be ma'akev, maybe they would disturb it. So he tried to distract those forces and get a mashal, and they shouldn't think that he's actually giving the bracha. And then after he finished the mashal, he gave the bracha. There are many things that we do to distract all kinds of forces of evil that might try to stop us. You know what very important one? Everyone look at your tefillin. You don't have them right now. Tomorrow morning when you have your tefillin, take a look at your tefillin. You'll see on the shalrosh of the tefillin, there are hairs sticking out between the crevices. You have 3 crevices, 4 sections. You look at the tefillin shalrosh, you'll see there are little hairs sticking out on top. Little hairs sticking out. What are they doing there? What are they? People who make the tefillin are clumsy? They're not neat? They don't know how to fix it up? They do such precision work. What are these little hairs sticking out? What are they? You know what these hairs are? These are hairs of an egel, of a calf. Hairs of an egel, of a calf. This is amazing. This is amazing. Why are they there? What are they doing there? Hairs of a calf sticking out of my tefillin. What's it there for? It's amazing. When we do a mitzvah, there's always some character called the Satan. He's always trying to stop us from doing the mitzvah. Always trying to prevent us, to hold us up from doing the mitzvah. We have to do something to make sure he doesn't stop us. What do? We make him feel like he's part of the mitzvah. If he feels like he's part of the mitzvah, he'll keep his mouth shut, and he won't be mekatreg. So what do we take the tefillin, parshios, we wrap them, before they put them inside the sections, they wrap the tefillin parshios with the hair of an egel, of a calf. What egel do we know in our history, which was a very, very negative and very, very damaging for Klal Yisrael? The egel hazahav, the golden calf. So we take a couple of hairs of the egel, and we wrap our tefillin parshios with those hairs, so that the Satan will feel that he has a chelik in the mitzvah, and he won't try to stop us from doing the mitzvah. We always do things to distract the Satan. And the biggest example of this, the most famous example of this, is the fact that Malchus, Beis David, and Mashiach Tzidkenu comes from who? From the union of Yehuda and Tamar. The union of Yehuda and Tamar came about in a very, very, let's call it, non-Jewish way.
Non-kosher.
Non-kosher way. He didn't know who she was. And the way that the Torah describes it, he thought she was a prostitute. Now go explain to me why this happened, why he wanted to do such a thing. This is talking about Yehuda, the son of Yaakov Avinu. A question. It turns out it wasn't. It turns out it was totally kosher. It was a process of yibum. But he didn't know it. And to go further, when David HaMelech was born, his father Yishai thought that he was sleeping with a shifcha, not with his mother. Chazal tell us David HaMelech was born from a union where Yishai thought that he was not sleeping with his wife, with one of the shifcha, which was mutter. But it was a shifcha. It wasn't David HaMelech's mother. But in the last moments, the shifcha said, I can't do it. She went and told the wife, you go instead of me. So actually it was David HaMelech's wife. And he was born. But there was something non-kosher about it. Like with Yehuda and Tamar. Yehuda didn't know who she was. It wasn't his wife. David was born from Yishai that he didn't know that it was his wife. He thought it was a shifcha. Why do these things have to... And from that Mashiach is going to come. Why did it have to happen that way? Why? Because if it was totally kosher, then the Satan would have been katrik and would have not let it happen. And that's his job. So he had to have some kind of persuasion to keep his mouth shut. And that was the persuasion. That Yehuda did not know who she was, and Yishai didn't know who she was, and therefore there was something non-kosher about it. To prevent the kitrug of the kochos of din in the world that try to prevent all the holy things and the good things from happening. Therefore, I say to you again, when you want to do something good, don't talk about it. Unless you say Yirtz Hashem, or you say B'li Nether. But don't say you're going to do something good, because they're listening to you and they're looking for every way to trip you up. But if you say Mirz Hashem, then you have Hashem on your side. You say B'li Nether, then they won't bother with you because you didn't say you weren't so sure about yourself. You said B'li Nether. They are always interested in tripping us up, in preventing us from doing something good. And therefore, don't stop to talk to anybody on the way to shul in the morning. No conversations. Even with the people at home, don't talk. When you wake up in the morning, the first one you speak to is Hashem. Modani lefanecha, melech chai v'kayam. Brachas to Hashem. All the words you say in the morning, only to Hashem. Don't even say good morning to the people in the house. Shake your head. That's all. You tell them beforehand, I'm not angry at you, not broigus, but I want to talk to only Hashem. The first words I say in the morning until I finish davening are only to Hashem. That's all. No in between. You don't want to go up there to Shemayim and going to send you a malach of the mitzvah that you created, and the malach is going to hold you up and make you shiver. Because you held up the malach when you went to do the mitzvah. You didn't create him fast enough. You didn't create his guf by doing the ma'aseh mitzvah. So he's going to come back to that malach and give you a piece of the thing that you gave him. Okay. So we're not talking so much about the davening itself right now. We're talking about preparation. Preparation for the davening. Remember, it's a very, very holy and very, very, I would say, spiritual experience. And the Satan doesn't want you to experience that. He's going to try to help, to stop you in some way. Don't let him. Don't let him. He's going to persuade you with all kinds of interesting things. Go straight to shul. Mitzvahs, only in the morning. Until you finish davening, don't talk to anybody except to Hashem. If you want to learn beforehand, that's also for Hashem. That's okay. Learning Torah before Hashem is also good. But no sichas chulin. No talking about anything else. Only to Hashem. That's it. Okay, let's go to the next piece. Lamed Dalet. You have that on the page. Next piece. Oh, it's Lamed Dalet. L'cho Hashem hachesed ki ato teshalem ki ish k'maseyu. You, Hashem, are so kind that you pay back a person according to his deeds. So that's kindness? To get paid back according to your deeds? That doesn't mean kindness. When I get something that I don't deserve, that's being kind. But if he pays me what I'm worthy of, what I'm deserving, why is that chesed? That's the kasha. V'lecho Hashem hachesed, you are kind, because you pay back a person according to his deeds. Well, paying a person according to his deeds, that's not chesed. That's coming to me. Why is it chesed? That's what he means to say, hakushi yadua. The kasha is obvious. We just explained the kasha. Why did David HaMelech say that is chesed? What was he talking about? That Hashem pays back a person according to his deeds, and that's a chesed. Let's see what he says. V'nira. Al pi ma shesiper habal Shem Tov HaKadosh pam achas hayakitru gadol b'yom HaKippurim. One time the Baal Shem Tov said in Shemayim there was a tremendous prosecution against the Jewish people on Yom Kippur. Ki asatan Omar she'einu medaber klal me'ansei Rasha. The Satan was not talking about the Rishonim that he was being makatrik against. Ki im me'anoshim hayireim hashleimim. The Satan was talking about the people who are in shul all the time, every day. He was being makatrik against them. Ha'holchim b'kol yom mispalel b'minyan b'beis ha'knesses. But asher be'ez halichasam mispalel roim agala eitzim. In those days, on the way to shul, you see a wagon with wood. A wagon full of wood. What was the wood used for in those days? Heating. They used the wood for heating. So you see a wagon full of wood. Oh, you So So they just, well, on the way to shul, I don't have to go to the shuk to get it. It's right here on my path to shul. So they start bargaining with the owner. So he gives them a little bit of a discount. It's early in the morning. He gives a little bit of discount. For that little conversation, they're going to come late to shul. They'll get there late, whatever it is, how late. Baruch Hu, they'll come in for Baruch Hu. They're going to miss the davening. They're haggling back and forth to lower the price. So finally, they come to some kind of compromise, and it comes a little bit less, and now they're going to come to shul late. Kol hamalachim militza yosher, lo hoy lehem militza al zeh. All of the other malachim who are trying to defend us had nothing to answer. They had nothing to answer. They couldn't say anything. The Sultan is saying, for a few agurot, they got the cheaper price, for that to come late to shul? I want to tell you something. You want to have a big bracha in your life? A big bracha in your life? Try to be from the first 10. From the first 10 in shul. Every single day, from the first 10 in shul. The Gemara says, who was it? Rabbi Preda. One of the things they asked him, why were you Zaycha to have such a long life? He said a number of things. One of them was, he was always the first in shul. It's a skula for Arichas Yomim. To be the first one in shul. If not for the first one, be from the first 10. It's very, very worthwhile to make the effort. And you have all kinds of distractions in the morning before you get to shul. Try your best to be from the first 10. If you're from the first 10, you want to tell you, all the people that come after you, let's say you have 50 people in shul, you get schar keneged all of them. Because you comprise the original minyan. All the schar that they're going to get, all these 50 people, is going to be for you. It doesn't mean that they won't get there also. But you're going to get a tremendous amount of schar. Be from the first 10 people in shul every single day. It's a very, very big schar. Very, very worthwhile. So, all these people who stop to pick up wood on the way, or they stop by the newsstand to pick up the newspaper, all kinds of things that they do on the way to shul. The Sultan was Makatrik against them at Shemayim. And the people there who were trying to defend the Jews had nothing to answer. What could they say? So the Baal Shem Tov, he came to their defense. Heishu Baal Shem Tov, Militza Yeshara. He said, Emes, it's true. Shekodem, she'oisin ha-mitzvah, bikal lahavsid ha-mitzvah ayidei sachkata. They could have made an extra kaddish in the morning, before Baruch Shemar. And before, to save a few pennies, they passed up that mitzvah. They didn't come to the first 10, just to save a few pennies. So you're right in that prosecution against them. Says the Baal Shem Tov. But once they did the mitzvah, this is beautiful. Gam yitnu lo hon rav. Lo yimkarena. If you try to buy that mitzvah from them after they did it, for no money in the world will they sell it. That was the defense of the Baal Shem Tov to defend them. You know, you go to shul, you daven, you put on your tefillin. Someone come over to you after you put on your tefillin, you say Kriya Shema. I want to buy that mitzvah from you. I want to buy that mitzvah from you. So you say, I'm sorry, do your own mitzvahs. I'm not selling the mitzvah. I'll give you $1 million. Would you sell the mitzvah for $1 million? It might be very tempting. Very tempting. You could say to yourself, well, for $1 million I could do a lot more mitzvahs, a lot of other things too. But you know, at the end, you can say, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not selling it. Selling a mitzvah for $1 million? Rabbi Victor Miller, who I mentioned one before, told us a Maisa, that there was a young man in America whose parents wanted him to go to college to earn a living. And he was very adamant about going to yeshiva and staying in yeshiva, and he didn't want to go to college. So his parents were under the impression that he's going to do what they ask. He's going to go to college and learn a profession and become a professional. So what happened? All of a sudden he broke the news to them that he's going to sit and learn and become a Talmid Chacham. That's all he's going to do. And I remember, was it his father or his mother slapped him in the face. So he came to the Rabbi Miller, and he says, I chose to do what Hashem wants, and this is what I get? A slap in the face? Maybe it's complaining. That's not right. So Rabbi Miller says to him, how much do you want to sell that slap for? I'll buy it from you. Whatever you ask me, I'll buy that slap from you. He says, oh yeah? I'm not selling. I'm not selling that slap. He realized what that meant. He got a slap in the face because he wants to learn Torah. That slap is priceless. There's no money that can buy that slap. The same thing, any mitzvah you want to do, you're not going to sell that mitzvah. That mitzvah is nitzchias, it's infinity. So the Baal Shem Tov said to them, true, they took a little time to do the mitzvah, but after they did it, for no money in the world would they be willing to sell that. Lo yim karena, af mishu, even a person who is a weak-minded person. Ayedei malitza zu, nimteku hadinim. So the kitrug that against them in Shemayim became softened and sweetened, and it stopped. V'zeu hakavana l'cho Hashem hachesed. Now we can understand the pasuk that we mentioned before. Shem, you're so kind. Ki atot tishalem leish k'maaseyu. You will pay a person for his mitzvah. Hainu k'moshe chaviv, it's according to how beloved the mitzvah is to him. That's what it is. Hashem pays the person for the mitzvah according to the love that he had for it. Not only for the actual deed itself, but for the actual love that he had for the mitzvah after he did it. That's why Hashem is kind. He doesn't only give you reward for the actual deed itself, but for all the emotion and the love that went into the mitzvah while he was doing it. That's the kindness of Kadosh Baruch Hu, and that's what David HaMelech meant. Okay. We'll do the last piece over here, and then we'll finish for today. It's almost the same as what we just learned. Let's see what he says, how he phrases it, what else did he add to it. Shemaiti Marizal, ki yesh shetzarich leschazek Trilo kodem hatfila. Some people have to have some kind of a wake-up or a strengthener before davening. Kidei shiyu lo mochin litpalel b'li machshava zora al kol panim o b'dveikus. You can't just go to daven. Some people need some kind of a, I would say, a reminder. They need some kind of a strengthener or a wake-upper so that they can daven properly. How do they do that? Hu al yidei mizmor, they say some tehillim. O Torah, they learn some Torah first. Shisasek tchila mitov kach omed li'izpal mitov divrei Torah. So since he's already into doing things of a mitzvah, he's learning Torah before, and we're saying tehillim, then he can daven better, because one thing leads to another. Sheyesh lo mochin, he already has a high level of concentration. He's in a high spiritual level. It's easy for him to start davening now because he did some learning Torah beforehand, or he said some tehillim beforehand. V'yesh, however, we have to be careful with this. She'im yarba minismorim, if you'll say the Tehillim with too much intensity, or Torah koidim, or you put too much intensity into the learning, you exhaust yourself. Lo yilo mochin the tefillah. You won't be able to daven because you're exhausted from the Tehillim or from the learning. You have to be careful of that. V'zeu she'amru echad hamarbe v'echad hama'amit v'belvad she'yechavein libo l'shem shamayim. She'yilo mochin b'tefillah lakach heim shavim v'sora hakusha. Then the kasha is removed. So it's perfectly all right. Before davening, if you want to say some Tehillim to get you into the mood, get you into the mindset, that's perfectly all right. You want to do some learning Torah beforehand, daf yomi, whatever you're learning beforehand, before davening, perfectly all right. But you have to be careful that when you're learning and you're davening, you leave strength for your tefillah. Tefillah takes a lot of emotional strength. And if you use up all of your kaiches early in the morning, before you start davening, afterwards you come to davening, you don't have the koach already. And you're missing the point. This is only supposed to be a lead up to the davening, but not to put all of your energies into the learning or into the Tehillim. Then you won't have koach, you'll be exhausted when it comes to the davening. And you're defeating your own purpose. So remember that it's perfectly all right to say some Tehillim beforehand, do a learning beforehand, but make sure you don't overdo it. Because you overdo it, when you come to davening, you don't have koach already, you just daven. It's all supposed to be a lead up to the davening, and the main concentration, the main effort should be in the davening itself. That's where you really have to connect.